You shouldn't be listening to this. I mean it. Close the app. Scroll away. Do anything else. Because once these words get inside your head, you can't scrub them out. You'll think about them tonight when you're brushing your teeth, when you're lying in bed, when you catch yourself staring into the dark corner of your room and wondering if something is staring back. I told myself I wasn't going to share this, that I'd die with it rotting in my chest. But silence doesn't protect you. It's the first thing I learned. Pretending nothing's wrong, ignoring the signs, it only makes it stronger. And now, if you're still here, you've already invited it in. It doesn't knock, doesn't creep in like a burglar. It just notices you. That's the part I hate most. One day, you're just another face in the crowd. Then suddenly you're marked, tagged, and once it knows your name, it doesn't forget. Look, I know how this sounds. Paranoid like some midnight rambling on a forum. But listen, this isn't a story. This isn't entertainment. This isn't a creepypasta some kid made up for likes. This is me, right now, shaking as I record this, because I don't know how many nights I've got left. I'll keep this short. Not because I don't want to tell you everything, but because if I drag it out, it'll notice. Every detail I give away makes it lean closer, like a moth drawn to a flame. But you need to know how it started. You need to understand the rules, because chances are you'll start to notice the same signs soon. The silence between footsteps. It's the way your reflection lingers a second too long. The shadow at the end of the hallway that doesn't move when you do. God, listen to me, I sound insane. Swear to you it's real. And if you're thinking, fine, then prove it. You don't want that proof. Believe me, evidence doesn't help. Evidence doesn't save you. All I can do is warn you, because maybe if you hear my story, you'll recognize the pattern before it's too late. Maybe you'll do what I didn't. So, this is how it began. It's back before I noticed it. It's back when things were normal. At first, it was just another night. Nothing special. Just me, home alone. The rain against the windows making that steady drumming sound that always makes you feel safe, like the world outside is being washed away. My parents were out of town for the weekend, which meant I had the house to myself. If you're picturing some wild party, don't. I'm not that guy. My idea of fun was ordering pizza, scrolling memes, and pretending I didn't have 3 overdue assignments. I remember the smell of the pizza box when it arrived. Grease, cardboard, melted cheese. I set it down on the coffee table, turned on some trashy reality show I wasn't even watching, and just scrolled my phone while I ate. That was the last night things ever felt normal. I was in one of those group chats where half the conversation is dumb jokes and the other half is people typing lol without actually laughing. Someone dropped a cursed meme, another person started arguing about pineapple on pizza, and for a while, it felt like the rain outside was just background noise. Comforting. The kind of night where you feel safe enough to joke about horror movies because you know nothing bad ever happens in real life. I even called my best friend Jay, just to kill time. He was gaming, yelling at strangers through his headset. I remember us laughing about how stormy nights are perfect for jump scares. Classic horror setup, he said. All you need now is the power to cut out. Not even 5 minutes later, the lights flickered. I thought it was funny at first. Perfect timing. We both laughed like idiots, like we'd summoned the cliché ourselves. But when the lights came back, I noticed something I didn't say out loud. For just a second, the TV didn't turn back to the show. It showed static, only static. I told myself it was nothing storm interference, whatever. But in that moment, my stomach dropped. Like some part of me already knew this wasn't just a normal night. Jay kept talking, filling the silence, and I forced myself to laugh along. "Dude, if your pizza guy shows up again but it's not him, don't open the door," he joked. I laughed, but I kept glancing at the window. The rain was heavier now. The kind that makes shadows stretch weird when the streetlights hit it. The kind that makes you hear things that aren't really there. And then came the first knock. Not at the door. That would have made sense. This was softer, muffled like wood being tapped with a fingertip. I froze, thinking it was just the storm. A branch against the siding, maybe. But here's the thing. My room's on the second floor. At the time, I brushed it off. Told myself it was wind, water, anything but what it sounded like. I went back to scrolling memes, to texting stupid jokes in the group chat, pretending nothing was wrong. Looking back, I should have unplugged my phone the first time it lit up before I touched it, because that was the moment the normal night started cracking. It's the moment I stopped being alone. You don't forget the sound of someone tapping from the outside of your second-story window. At first, I froze. The rain hammered against the glass, but this was different. 3 distinct taps. Slow, deliberate, not frantic, not random, not storm debris clattering. It was the sound of intent. I sat there, staring at the window, pizza slice in hand going cold, telling myself all the rational explanations I could think of. Maybe a loose gutter. Maybe a tree branch caught in the wind, except there are no trees tall enough to touch my window. Nothing that could reach that high. The tapping stopped when I stood, except for the storm. I actually laughed, though it was the kind of laugh you make when you're trying not to sound scared. I muttered something like, "Nice one, brain," and tried to sit back down. Then it came again. This time, not 3 taps. 5. Each one closer, like fingertips sliding across the glass. I didn't want to look. Every instinct screamed, "Don't," but of course I did. I pulled the curtain back just an inch, just enough to peek. Nothing, just the night, and the rain streaking down the glass. Except my reflection looked wrong. Have you ever noticed how your reflection in the window at night, when the room behind you is lit, seems to float out there in the dark? It was like that, except it wasn't in sync. When I tilted my head, the reflection lagged a heartbeat behind. I yanked the curtain shut so fast I almost ripped it off the rod. My heart was pounding, and I grabbed my phone like it could anchor me to something real. Jay was still in the voice call, rambling about his game, oblivious. "Hey," I cut him off, my voice shaking. "You ever get like freaked out by windows at night?" He laughed. "Bro, what? You scared of your own reflection?" I didn't answer, because even as he said that, I heard it again. The tapping. But this time it wasn't against the glass. It was against the wall, just beside the window frame. A slow, dragging scrape. Jay must have heard the silence on my end, because he stopped laughing. "Wait, are you serious right now?" I swallowed, whispering, "There's something outside." And then, as if to mock me, the tapping stopped. Pause, long enough for me to think maybe it was done. Then whispering. So faint I thought it was in my head. A voice, muffled by the glass, shaping my name, not the name I use online, not the nickname my friends call me. No, the name only my mother uses when she wants my full attention. Hearing it in that soft, distorted whisper made my blood run cold. I whispered into the phone, "Jay." It just said my name. Jay chuckled nervously. "Bro, you're messing with me. I swear I'm not." "Say it again," he said. But I didn't have to. Because right then my phone crackled, and through the call through Jay's headset, he heard it too. He went dead silent. "You heard that?" I whispered. "Dude, it said your name." His voice was low, shaken, but it wasn't you. I didn't know what to say. My hands were shaking so hard I nearly dropped the phone. And then Jay, still whispering, asked me the one question I didn't want to hear. "Why is it louder on my end than yours?" It wasn't advice. It was a command. I didn't figure that out right away, though. Not until after Jay hung up, swearing he didn't want to hear that voice bleeding through his headphones anymore. I sat there in my room, storm hammering against the house, staring at the curtains I didn't dare open. And then my phone buzzed again. A voicemail notification. No caller ID, just unknown number. I shouldn't have played it. God, I wish I hadn't. The message was full of static, like someone had left their phone recording in the middle of a thunderstorm. But underneath the hiss and crackle, a voice pushed through, old, croaky. The kind of voice that makes you picture a mouth too dry, lips sticking together, listed rules, one by one. Never look directly through the window while the rain falls. Never answer the knocking. Never open the door until the storm is gone. And never, ever sleep before the rain stops. The message ended there. No explanation. Just those words, recited in a rhythm too steady to sound accidental. At first I thought it was a prank. Some ARG thing. Maybe Jay was messing with me. Or maybe I'd been added to some weird creepypasta chain call. I almost laughed, but then I noticed the timestamp. The voicemail had been recorded yesterday, before the storm started, before the voice tapped on my window. I stared at the rules on my screen until the letters blurred. Curiosity gnawed at me, even while fear tried to hold me back. Was this some local legend I'd never heard about? Some old superstition? I needed answers. I searched through drawers, through old boxes in my closet, till I found a water-stained notebook I hadn't touched in years. It had belonged to the man who lived in this house before us, a reclusive neighbor, long gone. My parents always said he moved away, but people whispered he'd gone mad. The notebook was filled with the same thing I just heard. Pages and pages of rules. Some repeated, some crossed out, some scrawled in frantic handwriting like he'd written them in the middle of a breakdown. Never ignore the voice when it speaks. Never turn on the lights during thunder. Never cover the mirrors. Never say her name. Her name. He never wrote it down. Just scratched the word into the paper until the page nearly tore. I don't know why, but I whispered to myself, her. The room seemed to darken at the sound. I shoved the notebook shut. My pulse was pounding so hard it hurt, because that was the moment I realized something. These weren't warnings. They were conditions. Boundaries I'd already been breaking without knowing. When I'd peeked through the curtain, broken rule 1. When I'd tried to laugh it off, ignoring the whisper, broken rule 2. I wanted to believe nothing happened, but then I noticed the clock. It was 11:23, exactly the same time it had been 10 minutes ago. I blinked, rubbed my eyes, checked again, still 11:23. I grabbed my phone, same time. Notifications from Jay frozen. Rain outside, still hammering, still endless, but the world stuck up. When I glanced back toward the curtain, something had shifted. The fabric moved, just slightly, as if a hand brushed along the other side. I whispered, no. The movement stopped. And then tap, tap, tap. Not on the glass this time. On the wall behind me. I spun around so fast I nearly tripped over my chair. Nothing, just my bedroom wall, blank, solid. But when I touched it, it was wet. A smear of water, or what I thought was water, ran down my fingers. Dark, oily. It whispered against my skin. Because in the silence of the room, I swear the smear hissed words only I could hear. Rule broken. I don't know if I dropped the notebook or if it fell on its own, but it landed open on the floor at my feet. My eyes scanned the page it had chosen. Never write them down where others can see. Never share the rules. Never explain too much. Because if you do, the rain will find them too. I kept telling myself I was imagining it, that the oily smear hadn't whispered, that the rules were just the paranoid ramblings of some old lunatic who lived here before me. But then I heard the laugh. It wasn't coming from outside. It wasn't muffled by walls or rain. It came from inside my house, inside my room. I froze, every muscle locking in place, listening. The laugh sounded like mine. Not exactly, but close enough to send cold sweat trickling down my back. Like hearing a recording of yourself, played at half speed, warped around the edges. I swallowed hard. Jay, you trying to mess with me? No answer. I edged toward my closet because that was where the sound seemed to come from. Each step felt like I was walking deeper into some dream I couldn't wake up from. The laugh came again. This time, it spoke. Pizza's late. My stomach dropped. Those were the exact words I'd thought earlier when I'd been scrolling my phone, waiting for food. I hadn't said them out loud. I hadn't texted them to anyone. They had only lived in my head. I gripped the closet handle with shaking fingers and yanked it open. Nothing. Just shirts, shoes, the clutter I'd shoved in there for years. I laughed, sharp, nervous, almost hysterical, see? Nothing. Just me losing it. And then, from behind me, just me losing it. I spun so fast I nearly slipped. There's someone standing by my bed. No, not someone. Something. It had my height. It was my hair. My build. But the face. It wasn't right. It looked like someone had tried to carve me out of wax and forgot the finer details. The smile stretched too wide, teeth too straight. The eyes gleamed like polished glass. And worst of all, didn't move like a person. It moved like a reflection in water, rippling with every breath. Back toward the door, heart slamming. What the hell are you? The thing tilted its head. Then it repeated my words. Same tone, same panic. What the hell are you? I don't know why, but hearing it say that, hearing my own voice thrown back at me like a cruel echo, eerily broke me. I grabbed my phone, fumbling to call Jay, to call anyone. The moment the screen lit up, the figure twitched, jerked its head toward the glow like a moth spotting fire. It lunged. I bolted, slamming my door shut behind me. My hand shook so badly I almost dropped the phone. Jay picked up on the second ring, his voice groggy. Dude, what the... Listen. I cut him off, panting. Something's in my house. It looks like me. It's not me. It's... Static bled through the line, drowning me out. Then Jay's voice changed. It became mine. Panicked, frantic, identical to the words I had just spoken. Something's in my house. It looks like me. It's not me. It's... I ripped the phone from my ear and stared at it. Jay's name flashed on the screen. His voice, my voice, kept looping through the speaker. Behind me, laughter echoed again. I ran. Down the stairs, into the living room, heart hammering. Every corner I passed seemed wrong. Furniture out of place, photos crooked, like the house itself had shifted while I wasn't looking. I pressed my back to the front door, gripping the knob like it was the only thing keeping me tethered to reality. And then I heard it, a voicemail notification. My phone buzzed in my palm. I didn't want to check. I knew I shouldn't check. My thumb moved anyway, like it wasn't mine. The message was from my own number. Time-stamped tomorrow night. I pressed play. Static. Then my voice ragged, terrified, breaking. If you're hearing this, don't let him in. Don't. The message cut off with a sound I'll never forget. The sound of me screaming. Before I even opened my mouth. And in that moment, I realized the rules hadn't just been about the rain, they'd been about what comes with it. The shadows, the reflections, the stranger that wears your skin until it fits. I thought it was just me. That was the lie that kept me breathing. For weeks I told myself I was insane, that maybe if I ignored it, the thing in the corner would starve, dissolve, vanish. But then I made the mistake of searching. Not on Google, no. It doesn't show up there. You have to dig into the places where people go when they're already desperate. Forums with names like Shadowed Paths and Sleep Lesser Chiv. Posts written in shaky fragments, sometimes all caps, sometimes just silence after a few sentences. That's where I found them. Others, dozens of people describing the same thing I saw. The figure in the corner that doesn't move until you look away. The breathing that doesn't match yours. The whisper of your name at 3:14 a.m. And then the worst part of the posts ended cleanly. They all cut off. Like this. It's standing closer now. I think it nothing after. Like someone ripped the plug out mid-keystroke. At first I thought they quit. Maybe they just abandoned the account, walked away, got help. But every username was dead. No further logins, no replies. The accounts just stopped. Frozen in time, like gravestones in a digital cemetery. That's when I realized this wasn't about me losing my mind. This was bigger. I tried to reach out, messaged one of the users. Someone who went by sleepless_Jane. Her last post was from 2 years ago, describing the exact same rule I'd written in my notebook. Don't blink twice in a row. It hates that. Hates that. My DM bounced back. User not found. Not deleted, not banned, just gone. That's when my hands started shaking, because it meant what I'm about to say isn't just paranoia. It's systematic. Listen to me carefully. I don't think the Watcher lives in our rooms. I think it lives in the telling. Every time someone described it, documented it, whispered about it, it spread. Like mold, like static. That's why the forums are full of corpses, not bodies. Accounts. Because the story itself is the infection. And now I'm telling you. Which means, yeah, you're part of it now. Don't laugh. Don't roll your eyes. If you've made it this far, it already knows your outline. The Watcher feeds on attention, on being known. Every sentence spoken, every word heard, is like a flare in the dark. And right now, you're holding the match. I tested it. I read some of those old posts aloud. It's just the text. Just words on a screen. That night, the figure wasn't in my corner. It was closer. At the foot of my bed. I know how insane this sounds, but I'm not the only one who noticed. There were patterns in the old threads, people warning each other in riddles, trying to dodge detection. Posts where they'd say things like, "Don't let it in through your ears," or "skip the third paragraph." They knew the telling carried the seed. They tried to leave breadcrumbs. But here's the thing, most of those threads are gone now. Deleted, erased, and not just by moderators. Whole archives wiped. Screenshots corrupted. The back machine, 404s. Like someone or something scrubbed them clean. That means one of two things. Either the watcher doesn't want its story spread, or it wants to control how it spreads. I'll give you an example. There was this one post, I memorized it because I knew it wouldn't last. It said, if it speaks to you, don't answer. Not out loud, not in your head. Don't let it know your voice. The next day, that entire thread was blank, not locked. Blank. Every reply gone. I tried to tell myself maybe the author deleted it. But then that night, when I closed my eyes, I heard it. A whisper in the dark. Say something back. And against every ounce of self-control I had, my throat moved. Not a word, just a sound. A broken little syllable, like choking on air. And it laughed, not loud, not booming. Just soft, giddy. Like a child who's been given exactly what they asked for. That's when I knew it wasn't just in my room, it was in me. And maybe in you now too. Because here's the rule I pieced together from all those scattered fragments. It doesn't need your belief. It needs your attention. The second you acknowledge it, Tevin, with a thought, it knows you. And the deeper you go, the stronger the tether. That's why so many stories cut off mid-sentence. The more they wrote, the closer it got. So let me be crystal clear. If you've heard whispers lately, if you've noticed shadows that don't quite belong, don't tell anyone. Not unless you're ready to share the infection. But then again, you're listening to me now. It's already too late. You don't believe me? Fine. Test it tonight at 3:14. Wake up. Sit still. Don't move. Just watch the corner. See if something's waiting. And tell me I'm lying. Don't comment. Don't type. That's how it spreads faster. Wait, actually, maybe do comment. Maybe if enough of us compare notes, we can map the rules. Maybe we can beat it. I don't know anymore, God. Listen to me, I sound like the others. Begging for connection, desperate for proof they weren't alone. Maybe that's why it uses us. 'Cause loneliness is the perfect infection vector. That's what this is, isn't it? A contagion. A parasite made of story. And now it's in your head. If you've heard it speak to you already, comment what it said. Maybe we can figure out if it always lies, or if sometimes it tells the truth. Or maybe we're just mapping out the infection for it. Either way, if you're still here, it's watching you too. Static, breathing. Then the sound cuts, as if someone pulled the plug.